Alright, in this video, I'm going to talk about some examples of what is called, and the reason I say it like what it is called, the reason I say it like that is because a lot of things that I talk about, I don't know the word for, or there isn't one, or something like that. But this one is called, it's called reactive abuse. I'm going to share a couple examples that I have had with it, and some of the failed attempts that I have had trying to address it with a live-in narcissist. The first one that comes to mind, and the reason I'm even making this video, is because I had a conversation with a man the other day, and I informed him of what it was, and when he heard the words come out of my mouth, he was like, fucking absolutely. And a lot of these things that I say whenever I share my experience, some people's may be different, but the formula is there, and I usually say that a lot too, and that's because I just have a math brain. I don't know what side of the brain that is, but I have a math brain. So the formula, it still gets the same results. The patterns, whatever, however you want to fucking hear that. But fucking anyway, reactive abuse. One of the very first, aside from my parents, we'll get to that later. One of the first experiences I had outside of my parents with reactive abuse, and it's just a form of manipulation. It's not physical abuse, not sexual, sometimes not even verbal. It's mental, psychological manipulation. But I was dating a girl, and the whole relationship was toxic as fuck. I was my first real girlfriend. I was, I think, 19. And it was my first actual person that I had spent time with and dated. And even at 19, she was a full-fledged fucking raging alcoholic. That's not my opinion. That's what she was. Anywho, and still is. 20 years later. Anyway, we were getting into an argument, and often what I would find with this person was she would just blow up when she found out that I didn't feel like going out and getting drunk or stuff like that, or I wouldn't take her to a party or something. I was like, I don't really feel like it. You go. And she'd get mad because now she just lost her ride to booze. And in this specific night, it was like 1 a.m. We drank all our beer. And she wanted to go somewhere else, and she wanted me to bring her, and I was like, no, I'm already drunk, and I want to go to sleep. She started screaming at me, and hitting me, smacking me in the face, trying to knee me in the balls, just attacking me. And at the time, I lived on my dad's property in an RV in the back. And mind you, I was 19. I had never dealt with a peer of someone I was sleeping with attacking me, much less a girl attacking me. And this was the first, and I didn't really know what to do. So I just stood there. And she was berating and fucking hitting and smacking me, and then finally I was trying to get her out of the trailer, just get her out. And I got her out to the front, and she's still hitting and shit, and finally, I fucking blew a gasket, verbally. And I laid into her. I was drunk, tired, and fucking pissed. And I was like, you stupid fucking bitch. You could fucking hit me. What the fuck is wrong with you, you dumb goddamn sack of shit? I was laying into her, verbally. And she was egging it on. And then all of a sudden, she just fell to the ground and started crying. I didn't touch her. I didn't do anything. And I was too mad to be like, what the fuck are you doing? I just kept yelling. And she just fell on the ground, had her back turned to me, and was crying. And then, 30 seconds later, she gets back up and starts fucking attacking me again. And I'm in full, fuck you, and I'm trying to stop her and grab her arms and shit. Well, all of a sudden, her mom pulls up. I guess she'd called her mom as well. And I'll address the as well in a second. But her mom pulls up, and again, she just like throws it, and she's now at this point, she had walked out into the yard, and there was a ditch. And when her mom pulled up, she like landed in the ditch and was like, eh. So that her mom pulled up and saw me screaming and her laying in a ditch. And her mom was used to this shit. Her mom didn't say a word to me. She waved. She was like, hey, Josh. Her mom did not bat a fucking eye at what was happening. But I was like, get her the fuck out of here. What the fuck is wrong with her? But what I found out was later the next day, my dad was like, hey, we need to talk. You don't talk to women that way. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking? Did you hear us? And he was like, no, Vanessa called me and left a message. I should not have said her name. Whatever. So-and-so called me. And all he heard, she left him a voicemail on the landline phone of the property I was living on. And all he heard was somebody sobbing, uncontrollably crying, which was her. And me being like, what the fuck, get the fuck out of here, you stupid bitch. I was fucking mad. I was tired of getting hit in the face and the balls, is what it was. But this is reactive abuse. What it is someone will provoke and provoke and provoke and provoke and provoke. And then when you finally hit your limit, and one of the things that is always a dead giveaway, and which I have also found in different cases, is they will get calm. In Vanessa, in this girl's case, she didn't get calm. She fucking, she would do that shit. And I saw it a few more times. We were with each other for like 3 months, and then I had a kid with her. I guess it's no secret as to who it is now. Years later, I found out I had a 4-year-old. But anyway, most times the person will get very calm and then be like, see what you do, and you're past reason at this point. You're like, shut the fuck up. And they will just, and one of the things I learned, and I learned this term recently because it was the most recent case of the person I've dealt with, was covert narcissism. Sometimes it doesn't come in the form of legit provoking. Sometimes it comes in the form of deflection, blame. Especially if you're married to this person, you try to have conversations with this person about behavior that is happening that is not okay. And you'll just be met with, nuh-uh. No, I'm not. Well, one time you did that and I didn't say anything, that kind of shit. Or I disagree. I met with that one a lot. I disagree. And over time, you get sick of that. And you're just like, hey, like, I'm tired of having the same conversation with you. Will you quit treating me like garbage? And they will say, it's how you say it. And so, well, I tried it nice the first 4 years. I'm done with nice. Knock it the fuck off. And then they will tell you that you're being abusive. A lot of times, and again, this is reactive abuse. You're at your limit. You've tried everything you can. And I understand that in most people's heads, they're like, well, just leave. You can walk away. In some cases, you can't. In my case, it wasn't that easy. With the most recent one, I was married, living with this person for a decade. It's not as easy to just up and change your entire life because someone won't hear the words you're saying, and you get fed up with it, and now they want to take a look at your behavior. A lot of times, the way reactive abuse looks is someone else's boundary is you crossing, or someone else's boundary is you telling them that they've crossed your boundaries. This was big in my case, is I would try to not attack this person because I knew how sensitive they were to hearing any type of criticism whatsoever. So I would try different tactics and be like, hey, this is happening, And then they would say, hey, you're crossing a boundary right now. And I'm like, what the fuck? You can't say that, though, because that's what I'm saying to you. This is also reactive abuse or manipulation of some sort. One of the biggest forms of reactive abuse I saw or had happened, it was in my last relationship. We were playing a game of cards, and this is one of the reasons that caused the end of the relationship. This was a fight that lasted over a year. We had spoke that morning. They were going to brunch with their friends. And I was like, hey, are you going to be back in time to deal with the dogs? I've got stuff to do. We had 4 dogs. And they were like, yes. I was like, okay. So then 10 p.m. rolls around, and I'm just now hearing back from them. My plans are done. And they call and they say, hey, do you care if me and my friends come over? We're gonna come over and play games and drink. And I'm never gonna say no, you can't have your friends over in your house. It was our house. It's hers too, But I live there. I paid rent. I was there when we bought it. My house too. But I was like, okay, I guess. So I cleaned up, and I knew they were gonna be wasted. So they came in, and I started cooking some foods for them. And they were just 3 drunk girls. But they wanted to play Cards Against Humanity. And I was like, okay, I'm trying to just lean into it then. So I had 2 beers. We're playing Cards Against Humanity. If you don't know what that game is, what are you doing with your life? Someone played a card. It was a dirty joke. I made my own dirty joke about said dirty joke, and apparently it offended one of the girls. And she definitely instantly let me know. And she started just correcting me pretty vehemently, intensely. I don't know. It was uncomfortable, whatever it was. She started correcting me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I was joking. I wasn't even done. I didn't even finish the joke. I just got the first part out." And she was just instantly down my throat. And I was like, "Yeah, no, I was just joking." And she was like, "Well, it wasn't funny." And I was like, "Well, I know, but you don't need to correct me. I didn't actually think that. You don't have to take it literal." And she was like, "No, you're not listening." And I was like, "Well, I mean, yeah, no, I agree with you. But you're still And the other 2, they've been out all day. I'm assuming, patting each other on the back for their complaints towards men. The only reason I say that is because I know them. Anywho, and I am a man. And now I'm the villain. Now I've just become a character in their heads. Whether the last statement I said was true, that one, or was false, this one is true. Because now I'm just sitting here. I made a dirty joke in my own house during a game of Cards Against Humanity, which is dirty jokes. And she wouldn't stop. By this point, she was standing above me and just yelling. And I didn't want to say, "Why are you bitching at me?" This was my way of trying to jokingly diffuse the situation. But I was like, "Why are you squawking at me in my own house?" And this warranted more squawking from now all 3 women. And I was like, "Yeah, no, stop. I'm already agreeing with you. You're not listening. I'm tired of hearing this. Stop." And all of a sudden, she was like, "I'm uncomfortable." And I was like, "Good. There's nothing about what you're doing that should be comfortable." I also am uncomfortable, but I guess I don't count. And my partner at the time was like, "Why are you being such an asshole?" And I was like, "It's odd that you have to ask this question." Because I was going to ask you the same thing. Well, how are you just going to let somebody talk to me like that in my house, in our house, at our table, under the light I put in for you? What the hell is going on? So then she left, and I blew a gasket because my partner was like, "Why are you mad?" And I was like, "Rah!" Again, I didn't ever hit her. We didn't hit. We normally didn't yell at each other. This day I yelled. I was mad. We weren't big into name calling, so it was confusing to call the stuff that was happening abuse. But I was just in utter disbelief at like how in the world this just happened. And then the next day, my partner tried to tell me that because they were mad that I said squawking, and I was like, "Well, what would you call it? Like, what other word do you think that there is that could describe what was happening?" And she told me it was a friendly debate. Mind you, the debate was over whether or not smegma and poop are the same thing. Again, it was a dirty joke during a game full of dirty jokes. And I was like, yeah, that's not, but I was agreeing with her. And for a year, I got to hear about how I was standing over this woman screaming. And I was like, yeah, but that's it. And in my head, I'm like, happy wife, happy life, whatever. And then finally one day I was like, you do know that like I didn't stand up until I said bye to the other girl. There was another girl there who I still to this day love. She's super sweet. I said bye to her. And I stood up as they left. And I was like, for a year I had to hear about how I was like towering over some woman screaming at her, and like the exact opposite happened. You just didn't like what I said. You just didn't like that I had a boundary. Your friends crossed it, and then they got uncomfortable when I said, hey, you just crossed the boundary and you're not stopping. This is also reactive abuse. It's weird to call it reactive abuse because, like the other case, I don't think it was intentional provoking. So it was like a weird gray area, and my partner at the time would lean on this a lot. Oh, I didn't mean to. I didn't know I was doing it. Over a period of time, it's like, at what point is like inaction the same as action? Like, I've been telling you that this is a thing that you do a lot, and you tell me you're not doing it, and then you do it again and again and again. It's like, hurry, tell me the name of an animal, quick, elephant. What's the first animal you think of when I say that? It's an elephant. So how do you not know that this is a thing that's happening? Because I tell you a lot. This is also a form of manipulation. I wish I could tell you how to solve it, especially in the situation I was in. Eventually what I did was I left. I just left. Those are my experiences with reactive abuse. Two of the big ones. It comes in two forms. One, somebody intentionally just provoking you and berating you, even attacking you until you say something. Or somebody who just does not respect you enough to hear the words you say. Or somebody who is so stuck in their own world and needs to believe their own reality that when you say, hey, this isn't really reality, they then blame you for even suggesting that their version of history that has been so rewritten is not actually true. This is also reactive abuse. If that's something you're experiencing, I'm very sorry. But after a while of trying to talk about it, it's time to go. It's time to leave. Even if you live there. Even if it's your house. Man or woman. Alright, that's it.